What's up, Undisputed listeners? It's your boy, Sharpe. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now back to Undisputed.
Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. How are you guys?
Boy, I feel good. I feel good here, boy.
Well,
feeling good?
you're almost as good as LeBron James, who is now in the midst of the longest All-Star break in history.
Man,
He's still off. He's not going to play tonight, maybe tomorrow night, and then not until Monday night.
Really?
Wow, that's
really
incredible.
Skip? Really?
I think they're just trying to hand him another trophy.
What about the little 30 days that we got off between the championship and the start of the season?
That's ancient history.
True. Ancient history in so many ways.
Okay.
Well, what isn't history, guys, is this Dak deal. And yesterday, it really became official. The Cowboys celebrated Dak's big contract yesterday with a press conference at the Star in Dallas. And like only he can, Jerry Jones took his own victory lap about the deal that some people thought he overpaid for. Take a listen for yourself.
When I bought the Cowboys, apart from a lot of other things that were being said, it was very commonly said of how idiot I was for paying what I paid for the Cowboys. And that's not an exaggeration. That's firmly there. Well, I really got screwed. I ended up with the Dallas Cowboys. The truth is, most anything that I've ever been involved in that ended up being special, I overpaid for.
Jerry, I've missed hearing from you. Shannon, how should Dak feel about what Jerry said there?
Skip, it should bother him. The man sitting next to you, Skip, said I overpaid for you. He's basically saying it bothers Jerry that he had to bite the bullet on this one and give the man $40 million. Now, mind you, Skip, Jerry Jones, I think, is worth $8.5 billion. But the fact that he wanted to pay Dak somewhere between 32 and 35 million and ended up having to go to 40 million, it bothers him. He said it. Skip, how many interviews? You covered the Cowboys for how long? 10 years, 15 years? You covered them for 15 years as columnist.
15.
How many times when they did a contract, he always has the press conference, did Jerry Jones mention overpaying? He's never mentioned this. He did it with Zeke. He didn't mention overpaying. He did it with Amari. He didn't mention overpaying. He did it with D-Law. He didn't mention overpaying. This is the first time that I can recall that he signed a player and he mentioned overpaid.
I'll give you that.
So he's sitting next to the man. And he said, well, you know, anything that I've been involved with that ever turned out to be good, I overpaid. Dak, I overpaid for you. Now, you need to make me right. You need to make me right and overpaying for you by paying it off with a Super Bowl. I don't get why he would need to say that, Skip. And he up there, before, and Jerry's like, that cackling grin. Come on, man. Skip, there was no need for Jerry to mention anything about the pay. I'm happy to have one of our own. We drafted Dak. Dak has been better than we ever thought he would be. And here's a guy that's very deserving of the contract that we gave him.
Yep.
You go to, and honestly, Skip, in all the years I've heard press conference, I've never, ever heard an owner say they overpaid or mention anything about paying too much for a player. Jerry Jones just did that while the player is sitting right next to him. He basically said, Dak, I overpaid for you. I don't know if you're worth the money. Now, in order for this thing to be right, you gonna have to, because he said the Cowboys, you know, got the Cowboys out of bankruptcy, and everybody said, I bought the Dallas Cowboys.
Yep.
Skip, why I just don't get, and I racked my brain and I was like, you know, went back and played it again and found another channel that had it on, and I even I'm like, Jerry just told a man to his face, I overpaid for you. So Dak should feel some type of way. Now, it lessens the blow. I don't care what you did, Skip. The money's in my account now. You can overpay all you want to. The check's cleared.
Yep.
But he did say that to the man's face, and Dak should feel some type of way about it.
Okay, I got it. Okay. First point of order, before I launch on what you just said.
Okay.
I wrote a whole book about Jerry buying the Dallas Cowboys out from under Tom Landry and Tex Schramm. And I think Jerry is revising history about how he overpaid for the Dallas Cowboys. Just for the record, and he has used this before. And I love Jerry, and I respect everything he's built there, especially off the field in the way of entertainment.
Right.
And he has turned that team into the most valuable team in all of sports in all the world. So you got to give him that.
Give him that, yes.
But what happened was Bum Bright told me for the first book that I wrote, of the 3 I wrote on the Cowboys, the trilogy, the first book, Bum Bright, the previous owner, told me he had 4 other bids on the table above Jerry Jones' bid. Jerry Jones was the interloper, the outsider from Arkansas who came to the bargaining table without the wherewithal of the people he was bidding against.
Right.
And those people were Jerry Buss, the owner of the Lakers.
Right.
That's number one.
Yeah.
Did he not have some?
He had the money, yes.
Yeah, he had some pretty
Because he bought the
deep
Lakers from
pockets.
Jack Kent Cooke.
That is correct. And then, do you remember Marvin Davis, the Denver land baron? Maybe it's before your time in Denver, but he owned 20th Century Fox for a good while. He had deep pockets, and he was at the bidding table because he was trying to bring a team to L.A. also at the same time and failed there. There was a Japanese conglomerate that was in the mix, and then there was Mavericks owner Donald Carter.
Yes.
Who badly wanted to keep the hometown team in the hometown with hometown ownership.
Right.
And all of those bidders wanted to keep Tom Landry, the sacred, hallowed Tom Landry, as the head coach, except for one guy, the outsider, told Bum Bright, no, I'm sorry, I'm going to bring my good friend Jimmy Johnson, who was kind of his good friend because they were roommates, in alphabetical order when they were playing at Arkansas, and they finally fell completely apart, as we all know. But he did. I'm going to bring my good friend Jimmy Johnson, who's never coached a down of pro football. University of Miami's Jimmy Johnson is going to be my head coach. You got to give Jerry. You were talking about some gumption and guts.
Oh yeah.
Hey, I'm bringing him. And Bum was like, thank you, because Bum Bright did not love Tom Landry the way the rest of the world loved Tom.
But he was
Landry.
afraid to fire him.
He was afraid to fire him because you can't. It's Mount Landry. It's God's coach.
He was an institution.
Right. Maybe the biggest institution in a region of any coach in the history of the league. I know Lombardi was huge in Green Bay, but this is Cowboy Nation. This is America's team. Okay, so in the end, Bum Bright said, you know what? I'm going to take a little less money because I'm going to get even with the Tom Landry who has cold-shouldered me from the start. Wouldn't even give him the time of night at Christmas parties. He'd just kind of shake his hand, how are you, and then turn and walk away.
Right.
Because Tom wanted no interference from above.
Correct.
Okay, so the whole notion that people thought I was an idiot for overpaying, no, they did not think that. They thought you were an idiot when you did your first press conference, the night you announced that Tom Landry was no longer the coach, which became the Saturday Night Massacre press. It was live on every station in Dallas. And all he was acting like it was Christmas morning because he had bought the Dallas Cowboys while Cowboy Nation was in mourning because he had just fired Tom Landry.
Skip, if I'm reading the tea leaves correctly, you're saying based on Jerry's finances, he overpaid. But he didn't overpay in value because there are other teams that had the money. But based on his finances, yes, you overpaid. Yes.
Because he was strapped.
Yes,
man.
okay.
He was not worthy of being at this bargaining table. Okay. But he pulled it off, and he's right. Yeah, I got screwed. I got the Dallas Cowboys. Well, it was a sensational move. It changed life for Jerry Jones and his family. You want to talk about generational wealth?
Yes.
My Lord, they're all. The Jones family will own this team till death do many of them part, right?
And the question is, Skip, had he not bought the Cowboys and he's still worth $8.5 billion, would people know who Jerry Jones is?
Heck no. Which is why he was at an oil and gas convention in Cabo San Lucas. and he noticed in the San Diego paper a little blurb at the bottom that said the Dallas Cowboys are for sale, and the sort of auctioning company was Salomon Brothers in New York City, and he picked up the phone from Cabo and called and said, "Hi, I'm Jerry Jones. I want to buy the Cowboys."
Right.
And they were like, "You're who?" Okay, so the point is that's a little bit of an exaggerated story, but what does Jerry pride himself most on? On negotiating. That he is the greatest negotiator in his mind that ever walked this planet Earth.
Right.
Well, he finally met his match at the table, and it was Todd France and Dak.
Yeah.
Because Todd had a client who did not, he had kept his arm's length from Jerry. So all of a sudden, that negotiation went from bad to worse. It got so bad, there was bad blood.
Right.
How long did it go? 2
years.
2 years. So it's the first time I believe Jerry ever thought in his mind that he got beat. His golden tail got kicked by Todd France. Yeah. So in the end, everybody was saying, starting with Shannon Sharpe on what day was it, Tuesday? Dak beat him. Dak crushed him.
Yes.
Dak took him to the bank. Am I right?
Yes.
And so Jerry yesterday was offering a concession speech. He was saying, "You got me. I had to overpay for you." I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But he was screaming that between the lines for 2 years.
Right.
He's not worth how much he's asking for.
Right.
I don't know. How many times did I say that on here?
Yeah.
4,789 times. I'm the biggest Dak fan, but I never said he was Patrick Mahomes. I did not say he was Deshaun. I said he was good enough to win you a Super Bowl, maybe a couple of Super Bowls, but he's edge of top 10. Maybe he's the 10th best quarterback. That's still very good. Is he Hall of Fame bound? I can't go there yet. So the point was, Jerry's looking at his achievements so far. What has he done for me? And Jerry finally decided, I can't pay for that. I got to pay for what I think he can do for me in the future.
Right.
And he bet more on his intangibles than on his tangibles and his track record.
Right.
His track record is spotty. I'm sorry, I'm an objective Cowboy fan. Well, you know that because you've given him too many F's sitting right in that same seat.
He earned them. I don't give my bad grade.
Well, he earned too many F's. I'll give you that. So just in the big picture, think about what we've seen. I thought Dak's rookie year was the greatest rookie year any quarterback has ever played. But he had Zeke come out of nowhere, just kaboom, with he took the league over, right? Zeke did. I didn't know if he could do that. They had the best offensive line in pro football, right?
Right.
They had weapons. It fell perfectly into place, and then they got off to a terrible slow start in that playoff game, and Dak rallied them, and then Aaron Rodgers made the play at the end of the game to win the game, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you have to show for it? Nothing at the end of that year. 2017, what happened? Once Zeke got suspended, Dak was a disaster. You remember how bad it was. Jerry knows exactly how bad it was. 2018, what happened for the first 6-7 games? Dak was hit and miss at best. He was shaky at best until Jerry went and got him Amari. Remember? Then they took off.
Right.
But you thought they were dead in the water at that point, right?
Yep.
And they took off, and Dak played huge, outplayed Russell Wilson in a home playoff game, and they won it. And I thought Dak played pretty well, and the defense was atrociously bad against the run out here in the Coliseum against the Rams. Okay? Then what happened in 2019? After those 3 games against what you dismissed as 3 bad teams,
they were.
The last 13 games, he was shaky at best. And do I have to keep talking about all the away games? At Jets, at New Orleans, at New England, at Chicago on that Thursday night, at Philly for all the marbles at the end of the year. No good, no good, no good, no good. How about at home against Green Bay? How about at home on Thanksgiving against Buffalo? No good.
Right.
That's what Jerry's not a fool.
Right.
So Jerry's looking at this like, they want how much? For what? What have you given me? You give me 3 playoff games, 1 and 2 in the playoffs. Well, you don't think he deserves that much money, except you said the market is the market.
Well,
the timing is the timing.
And I think, Skip, let me tell you what Jerry did. Jerry lost the negotiating after 2 years. So Jerry wants to appear like he's the knight in shining armor coming in on the white horse. Cowboy Nation, I overpaid to keep him. That's why Dak is here. So he has to try to find a way to flip it.
I don't know if he wants to be the knight in shining armor. He's just saying, he got me.
Yeah.
He beat me.
Yes. But
it was big. Jerry had to swallow a bunch of pride to publicly confess and admit that.
But what is he telling Cowboy Nation? I overpaid.
He's saying, I need something back for that. Now, I need a Super Bowl, right?
Yes.
Okay, here's what I think happened over these 2 years. Jerry Jones is now 78, going on next October, 79 years of age. Not getting any younger, and he's talked openly about his mortality is hitting him right between the eyes.
Right.
Well, I believe he kicked tires on, could we go get somebody else? Could we trade Dak for Russell Wilson? And what else would we have to give up? Could we trade Dak for Deshaun? What else would we have to give up? Well, the price on top of Dak was so extreme that Jerry's saying, I'm 78 years old. My defense is pathetic. How am I going to fix my defense if I go get Deshaun or Russ? I'm going to have nothing else to show, right? But if I can keep Dak with one low cap hit, $22.2 million going into next year, maybe I can kind of fix my defense to make it respectable enough. We could make a run, right? So that's what he's saying yesterday. But I think the blood is still a little bad. It's simmering under the surface between.
I got you.
I don't think they're close at all. It's not a hug and kiss situation, right?
It's not the typical relationship that we see between.
It is not.
Quarterback and ownership.
I don't think Jerry views Dak as a partner or a son.
That's how he view Romo.
Correct. Absolutely.
That's how Mr. Kraft view Tommy.
Absolutely agree.
That's how the Rudies view Big Ben.
Not here.
No.
Okay. So all Jerry is saying is, you got me. I concede here publicly to you, and yet he still respects the intangibles, because there was one other quote that came after the one you're talking about that caught your ear and stuck in your craw. Okay. There was another one where he paid the ultimate respect to Dak Prescott. If we could hear this one, please.
If there's a human breathing that I've ever met that I'm proud that took advantage of me financially, I'm proud it's the one sitting to the right.
And you can also hear Jerry's laugh track. Stephen Jones, he laughs at everything his father says. You know, like he's the laugh track, right? Okay. So it's like a sitcom almost. But the point is, he's also paying the ultimate respect. He honors and admires what Dak is made of off the field. He honors the fact that he is the leader of the locker room, and somebody that if you overpay for, quote unquote, that at least you can trust his intangibles. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, Skip. But again,
it's the same idea.
Right. He reiterated what he had said earlier. The guy took advantage of me financially.
He did.
If somebody takes over you financially, you figure you overpaid. So in other words, he found another fancy way to say, I overpaid for that.
Okay.
It was like you tell me backhanded compliment.
I know, but still, he's trying to say what you really wouldn't want is some guy you despise kicking your tail in a negotiation. Yeah. He honors what he's made of. Jerry's always big on, because he did raise good kids. Yeah. Seriously. They're good kids. And the point is that he's saying he's worthy of being my son, even if he's not my son, because he's not his son.
Skip, like I said, I wouldn't have a problem if this was Jerry's MO. And there have been a lot of guys that he's paid that hasn't lived up to the money that Jerry paid him. But he never said this. This is the only time that I can recall. And you know, when he signed big contracts, every guy, because Jerry loves TV, and you know the camera's going to come, Skip, and Jerry loves that. I've never, ever heard him say this about anybody except Dak.
Okay, there's still a little bit of animosity between the lines, and the animosity was returned by Jerry turning up the heat on Dak yesterday, because you're right. He's basically saying, I overpaid, now you got to pay me back with a Super Bowl before I'm gone. That's what he's saying.
Because
before I'm gone.
Anything that I've overpaid for that's been any good, anything that's been good, special, yes, or turned out to be good, I overpaid for it. Okay, Dak, I overpaid for you. Now, what can you do to make this really special for me?
Okay, but really, the only things that he ever overpaid for that became really special in his life were drilling rights.
Yes!
I'm serious about this, because he used to tell me stories about, I had one geologist tell me this parcel of land over here was barren of oil. There's no way, there's no oil underneath that soil. But I had my friend, the guy I've hung with, this geologist who came up with me through the ranks, and he's saying, Jerry, I got a feeling that there's a big pocket under there. And they hit a gusher, and you know the rest is okay. So that's where you overpay for drilling rights. And you strike it rich.
Correct.
Okay, that's special, obviously.
Right.
But in the football context, I'm not sure where that is. Because I think he knows he overpaid for DeMarcus Lawrence and Amari, and we can go right down the line. Are they special?
Skip. By every metric, he overpaid for Tony Romo. He made Tony Romo the highest paid player in NFL history at the time.
Special?
No, he wasn't special.
No, not special.
But in Jerry's mind, he was. Because like you said, Jerry likes box office. Tony Romo can wheel around and almost get sacked.
I got it.
He saw a lot of Roger Staubach in Tony Romo.
Okay. All right. And he didn't have Roger.
No,
okay.
no, he didn't.
Okay.
So that's what I don't get. So if I'm Dak, yeah, I feel some type of way. It lessens the blow. Like, okay, yeah, you might have overpaid, but my bank account ain't overdrawn, so it's overstocked.
Yep. So I believe this is the first time Jerry felt like he just really got taken by a player, and he conceded, but he also wanted to drive home the point.
He did.
Now it's your turn.
Yes.
Okay.
He should commend Dak, because he should see a lot of himself in Dak, because Dak stuck to his guns.
Yep.
That's what Jared normally does.
Yep, he does. So in the end, and we'll talk more about this later, Dak Prescott went there right away. He went to Super Bowl parade.
Yeah.
A year from today, I want to be here talking about the Super Bowl we won. Okay? So he embraced it.
Yeah.
He owned it. And I loved it, but it's a tall order.
You ain't gonna be loving it. I give you, let's see, October this time.
Yeah.
You'll be disappointed again.
Okay. I think the window just opened for
Ain't
me.
no window open. I just nailed the window shut the other day.
Nope. Mm-mm.
And I used spike nails to make sure you couldn't get it
You
open.
got what you wanted. Jerry did overpay, and you know he overpaid.
He didn't overpay.
Oh, he
That's
did,
a bargain.
Oh, stop.
That's a bargain.
Yeah.
You can't beat that 2 for 1.
The guy you flunked is a bargain.
That's a 2 for 1 special, Skip. You remember back when you growing up to get 2 for 1?
Yeah.
That was a 2 for 1 special. That's what he got for Dak. He should have paid Dak $50 million for what Dak gonna deliver.
Well, I'll take
there's
that.
always so much between the lines with Jerry as well.
Yeah, a lot.
He was definitely saying, Dak, it is time to go get the job done. I think Skip agrees with that. And if they do get it done, Skip, you are going to be happy for a very, very, very long time. I need that
underpaid.
for you as well, actually, for Shannon.
No mercy.
Hey, Undisputed listeners, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app right now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, are just one click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. Download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com.
Hey, Undisputed listeners, it's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we could all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you.
Former Warriors and Lakers star Quinn Cook got Twitter buzzing yesterday when he tweeted, who wins in a game of 2-on-2-16? Kevin Durant and LeBron James versus Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Who wins and why? Y'all know who I'm rolling with. The internet obviously had a field day going back and forth on this. So Shannon, who would win this?
Is this a trick question, Quinn?
No, it's not a trick. It was a real question.
Man, Goat James and KD will blow the doors off of Magic and Bird.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought Larry Bird was your favorite
He
player.
is my favorite player, but Skip, in a 2-on-2, this matchup is really not conducive for what they really do. Because if you put Magic Johnson in a 2-on-2, Skip, you take away some of his best attributes, which is court vision and being able to get up and down. 2-on-2, where the hell he going? It's half court. And then I want to know, the best defender of everybody on the court is Goat James. Now, this man is year 18 in the league, and them young guys can't stop him from getting to the rim. How the hell Larry Bird and Magic Johnson gonna stop him? First of all, the other two are athletically superior. Kevin Durant and LeBron James are athletically superior to Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. We know that. KD can shoot the ball just as good as Larry Bird. But can they defend LeBron and KD? Mm-hmm. I don't believe they can. What they going to? He said they going to 16, Jenny?
Yes.
16-4. What we going by, 2s or 1? If we going by, we'll give them 4. You know, to be nice, because they are historically, they're all-time great players, we're going to be nice. We ain't going to just mollywop them. We'll let them have 8, 16-8. But if you make KD and Goat James mad, 16-4.
Make them mad?
Yeah.
I am so disappointed in you because I think you know better than what you just said. Obviously, you're Shannon Sharpe for a reason, so I get that you had to go there.
No, I didn't.
There's this thing called killer will. There's this mentality called the assassin's mentality. And I was there for those two guys on the left.
Yes.
I know them. I was around them. I saw it live and in color right before my eyes. And I have never seen anything like the sets of intangibles those two had this side of Michael Jeffrey Jordan. They're in the Jordan League for killer will. Hey, you don't mess with those two. I don't care what the game is, how you're going to play it, whether it's 2 or 5 or 12 on 12. I'm not going to bet against those two.
I am, and the two on the right going to make a mess of them. Not only they going to mess with them, they're going to make a mess of them.
The last time we did this on the show, when I ranked my all-time players in the NBA, all-time, obviously I had Jordan first, but I had Magic Johnson number 2 on my list, just for the record.
Yeah.
I had Larry Bird number 8 on my list, just for the record.
You was faded, though.
I had LeBron. I was not faded. I don't even know. I can't even imagine being that way.
Exactly.
I'm sometimes faded when I walk off the set of this show just because you have blindsided me so many times. I'm woozy. Okay, so I had LeBron 9th on the list. I have not ranked KD yet because he's not qualified yet. He hasn't finished. He hasn't done enough yet to even be ranked in the top 20 yet. So my point is, I got number 2 and number 8 versus number 9 and unranked as of yet. I'm sorry, you are underestimating the intangible power of those two.
This is skip. No.
And then, do you realize how great a defender those two guys were?
No.
Hey, do you have any idea? Do you realize what? Timeout. Larry Bird led this league in defensive win shares 4 times. 4 times, 33 led the whole league in defensive win shares. Do not underestimate. We're talking about in their primes versus in their primes, right?
Yeah.
4 times he did. Magic Johnson led this whole league in steals twice.
Yeah.
It's hard to lead this league in steals. Twice he did that. Obviously, Magic 3 MVPs, Larry 3 MVPs. At the highest level, in the biggest games, at the brightest moments, they took games over.
We got 4.
Okay?
We got 4!
I will give you that Kevin Durant is mentally tougher than LeBron, and it ain't even close. But that means those two are mentally tougher than this guy of the new number 7 of the Nets is. You are stuck with the guy who's going to be a liability. And now we got to talk about rules here. Are we going to shoot free throws in this game or not?
Man, nobody shoot no free throws in 2-on-2.
Well, can you just foul every time then? What are the rules? What are the rules? Is that you can just push and shove and grab and clutch and do whatever you want to do?
Play basketball.
Huh. Well,
just like the blacktop, you know how we do it. We don't.
What you do on the blacktop is ball.
Yeah.
Ball.
Yeah, you call you call your own foul, but you don't shoot no free throw. Skip. We got 4 MVPs.
Yep.
KD got 1. We got 4 Finals MVPs. KD got 2. So right now it's 5 to 6 Finals MVPs for the good guys.
Okay. Do not underestimate how strong both those guys are on the left. They're not weight room strong. They're just natural.
My guy
strong.
both.
Hey.
Excuse me. Look at Gold. Skip, look at Larry. What Larry gonna do against that freight train?
33 and Green, again, 4 times led the league in defensive win shares. Averaged 10 rebounds a game for his career.
Guess what?
For his career.
He might have, guess what? He will have probably about 3 rebounds because we're not going to miss. You can't rebound a made shot. You don't get credit for that, Skip. First of all, you still haven't told me how they're going to stop GOAT James from getting to the rack. So
they're both just powerhouses. That's how. Magic would take him. Magic would take him.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
That's what I want right there. No. And then what they going to do with KD?
Hey, I have never seen anything like Game 7, Dallas Mavericks 1988 out here at the Fabulous Forum against the Lakers. Game 7, tie game going to the fourth quarter. The Mavericks had a guy that a lot of our younger viewers will not know named Roy Tarplin.
I know Tarp.
He had alcohol problems or he would have been a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
That's how good. He was one of the first 7-footers who could do it all.
He could.
He became that year unguardable. And guess who in the fourth quarter said, I got him? Not Kareem. Magic said, I got Tarpley, and he took him out of the game in the fourth quarter, a 7-footer. Magic on defense could do whatever he felt like doing.
And let's be real, Skip, on the defensive win shares, and this is not to minimize, but the Celtics was a historically great defensive team. They had Dennis Johnson, who's one of the better guards in all of basketball, on-ball defender. They had Kevin McHale. They had Robert Parrish. They had very good defenders, and as a team, they might have been the best defensive team in the era of the 80s. You know that.
Yeah, that guy was #1 in the whole league.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But what my guy PER, my guy the PER king, and KD right there behind it. Right there. It's over, Skip. Nope. And see, now you don't make me upset. So now we got to beat you 16-2.
You also underestimate what happens when those two start trash-talking those two, and they cower and they shrink. 33.
KD, you hear that?
You know what? 33 would talk 23 into oblivion. He would be all up into him. He was the greatest trash talker in the history of the game. He would be all over him, and LeBron would be choking his brains out. Hey, you know it, and I know it.
The thing that I love about this here, we just go take turns. Hey, KD, you want this one?
Yep.
Take it. Hey, Brian, your turn.
Yep.
Bam!
Yeah, this is the one game in which the lack of clutch gene would get exposed.
Skip.
23 has never had one in the biggest moments. Sorry.
If I'm not mistaken, I think 23 might got more game-winning shots than the two guys on the left combined. But that ain't none of my business because we don't need a game-winning shot. We won't need that in a 2-on-2. We just go do what we do.
I got the 2 6'9" guys on the left.
I got the 7-footer and the 6'9" guy from Akron.
Okay.
And I got the guy from D.C.
That they would be overwhelmed. You know it, and I know it. Just on mystique and magnitude, those two would be overwhelmed.
Yeah, because they're the equivalent. You make it seem like they're playing 2 guys. They just got called 2 guys out of Dorchester. Those aren't just 2 guys. They ain't just 2. That's GOAT James.
I'm disappointed in you because you know deep down what 33 could do.
I love Larry. Larry was special. But GOAT James on another
Skip. The billions of blind witnesses out there are going crazy, but they don't know what they're talking about because those are forces of nature on the left.
The great thing about being my age, sometimes it's a benefit, sometimes it's a disadvantage. But I was old enough. I was a teenager when those 2 guys got to the NBA. So I feel very, very comfortable, Skip Bayless, and follow them all throughout their career. And after watching those 2 guys, their entire career, and watching these guys now in their career, I feel with a great degree of certainty. I'm willing to lay something down on that one. I'm going to Vegas. Yeah, you know what? Fox Bet should put up a bet, what they think. I guarantee you, Fox Bet going to give Larry and Magic probably about 6 points.
Okay, I would get rich off that.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes, I
no,
would.
You wouldn't.
I would. I'd be at the window.
Ernestine go look at that bank account like, Skip, we've been hacked because all the money gone.
Yeah, all the money would double or triple or whatever the odds would be.
Skip, they're not going to Skip. You actually
They're not going to lose. Those are 2 guys. Listen, I have him ranked 2nd overall for a reason. It's called winning time.
You the only one that got it ranked like that.
Winning time.
By most people.
I know Magic watches us, so Magic, tweet away. We'd love to have you on. You know, we should get Magic on the show. We should just get him on because he would give you an earful about this.
I think Magic.
And he wouldn't be.
The one thing I love about Magic. I love about Magic. Magic gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Magic gonna be like, Skip. It'll be close, but those young. Skip, it's called
He might have a problem
evolution.
because LeBron does play for his hallowed franchise, so he might have to defend the current Laker.
Skip, athletes get big, they get bigger, stronger, faster.
Yeah.
You see the evolution? Think about it now. You got 20 guys in the league right now can shoot just like Larry. When at the time Larry was in the league, he was the only one. You got 20 guys that can do that. How many guys do we got now shooting 50, 40, 85? Man, you got 20 guys shooting that right now.
Yep. You got one for sure. You got that guy.
And we got a freight train. We got a guy that's 36 years of age, getting 25, 8, and 8. Do you realize, Larry?
What do I call your man? LBJ? LB no J.
We don't
Do you know how he'd be choking, missing threes, missing jumpers, missing here, missing there?
We don't need no jumper. Why am I going to shoot a jumper when I can just bully my way to the basket?
Is he just going to feed Kevin every time?
No.
You do it.
No,
You do it.
No, we're going to take turns. We got to take turns. We take turns.
Take turns doing what?
Busting them up.
Hey, Magic would not let LeBron get to the hoop.
You can't stop
Trust
him.
me.
Can't stop him.
Do you know how big and strong Magic was?
It'll be looking, you know what it looked like, Skip? It looked like Josh Norman trying to tackle Derrick Henry. You remember what Derrick Henry did with Josh Norman? That's what Magic, we just blow him off to the side and boop.
Really? Magic, are you listening?
We got Magic, I love you. I love Larry.
Yeah.
Larry, my guy.
No, he doesn't.
But y'all not beating them two
Sorry.
guys on the right. I'm sorry.
No, sorry.
Skip that line.
LeBron is his guy. Period. End of story.
No. Larry was my guy first.
Yep.
He had to get a new guy.
You would have a weak link on your 2-on-2. A weak link, number 23.
Now, I mean, if you're going to tell me, say, okay, Magic and maybe Kobe, but they're going to, them two right, they're going to be Magic, going to be Jordan and Kobe. Because they're too small. Too small.
I mean, if you put Jordan in the equation, it's over no matter who.
Jordan.
Hey, you could do Jordan and Quinn Cook, and they would.
Jordan, hey, because every time KD shoot and LeBron shoot, they're going to be doing this right here. He too little. He too little.
Yeah.
He be doing this the whole game.
To MJ?
MJ and Kobe, they too little.
Are you serious?
Right there.
Shannon, you have no idea. You don't get intangibles, and yet you won Super Bowls because of intangibles.
They're not a team. I'm talking about the 2-on-2. Because see, Skip, all the things that they're really good at don't get an opportunity to come to the forefront. Who's a better one-on-one player? KD, Bird, Magic? KD.
Jordan.
Oh, Lord.
Well, he is.
Skip. Look.
Jordan would terrorize LeBron in one-on-one.
Post him up. We post him up.
Terrorize.
Post him up.
Post him up? You're not strong enough. You're not stronger than he was. Yes.
Man, that little 205, man, we just get out the way.
Get out the way?
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Man, we put that Rick Mahorn hip on him and back him on down.
Michael, I know you watch. Want to join us?
Now, I don't know, Skip. I'm trying to think of a duo that could beat those two. I don't see it.
Oh, really?
I don't see it.
Somebody is prisoner of the current moment.
Yeah. You're going to probably have to get somebody like Shaq. And then, can't nobody guard Shaq down there. But I'm talking about wings and guards to try to beat KD and LeBron ain't happening.
I can just see Shannon watching this, if it ever happened, be going, oh, God.
I ain't even worried about it.
I do like the visual of
I can just see your
imagining
face. I got to go face Skip tomorrow.
I ain't even worried about it. I'm going to sleep
It'd be
real
just
good.
like your face when Brady was beating Mahomes in the Super Bowl. How could this be happening?
All I know,
Like
if it would have ever happened in their primes, everything I got.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Either way, I agree with you guys. Could we get Magic on the show? Could we get MJ to settle this? How about that? We need to have those discussions. Good stuff from both you guys. I'm going to move on to this, though. Former Seahawk Michael Robinson is weighing in on the Russell Wilson drama in Seattle right now. And his former teammate is pretty confused about how things are unfolding. Robinson said, quote, "I don't know what Russell wants. He's paid. They paid him twice in Seattle. The front office made sure that every other alpha male was out the door so that this team could be Russell Wilson's. Now this? Shannon, interesting here. Does he have a point?
No. Russell wants to get protected. He wants to have input on the offense. Skip, a lot of times what we're seeing here is that if I'm reading Rob correctly, he said they paid him twice. All the dominant other voices they removed from the equation to make sure Russ knew this was his team. Well, it's the equivalent, another relationship. Skip, you get married, you go, gave a nice wedding, gave a nice honeymoon, and then after that it's over. We don't do no more vacations. We're not going out to eat. I done gave you all that. He's like, what you think gonna happen? You're gonna say, oh no, you didn't. So in other words, because they removed the dominant voices, it's Russ's team. And because they paid him twice, Russ basically just throw the football. Russ says, I want to be protected. You see how many times Russ has been hitting? All of it is not on the offensive line fault. When you're a mobile quarterback, a lot of times you run yourselves into sacks. If you look at the guys that have been sacked the most, the majority of them were mobile. Brett Favre has been sacked the most. Brett Favre was mobile. John Elway's been sacked a lot. He was mobile. So was Ben Roethlisberger, Randall Cunningham, guys that can move around. Look at Tom Brady. Ben Roethlisberger is 5 sacks from behind Tom Brady, and Tom Brady played probably 3 or 4 more years than Big Ben.
Ben's going to last one more, right?
Maybe it's 8 games if he keep on taking the punishment that he's taking. So what Russ is saying, and I want to be protected, guys. Y'all don't spend no money on the offensive line. For the last 3 or 4 years, we've had the 30th or the 32nd highest paid offensive line in football. So how do you expect me to win with that? Everybody get to have input. Your sons, they get input in the offense, but when I try to have some input into the offense, you scoff at that. So Russ has said, enough of this. I appreciate everything you've done, but if you think just because you turned the team over for me and you can leave me unprotected and I'm going to be okay, I'm not going to be okay with that. If you think I should not have input on what I think would work best for me, you're sadly mistaken. So, no, I do not agree with Rob. I understand he has the pulse, the heartbeat of the team, but I'm going to disagree. I'm going to respectfully disagree with him on this. Yeah. Russ says, I want to be protected. I want to have input on the team. And I get, well, he should have did this. Players always have to step on eggshells. Well, don't do this. Players never tell, teams never tell the players, we want to trade you. They just do it. Russ says, look, give me some input. I've gone to you. I've tried to be as respectful as I possibly can, but it's falling on deaf ears. Guess what? I got me a megaphone. I had my agent shout it out. Now y'all listening.
Interesting. So I know Michael Robinson, as you call him, Rob, a little bit. I really respect his opinion because he will plunge with what he believes.
Yes.
And I believe there's much truth to what he's saying. They did, for years, go out of their way to elevate Russ to the pedestal in the locker room, right?
Yeah.
It started with that Super Bowl after 2014 season. You always say that was the turning point for the Legion of Boom.
Yep.
And you know what happened? They put the ball in Russ's hands instead of beast modes.
Yep.
The 1 yard line, and the rest is Super Bowl history.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And from that moment on, one after another of the Legion of Boom gone, because they were rebelling inside. It was almost a wide open mutiny inside.
It was,
right?
Yes.
And it was all about Russell getting too much respect, getting elevated by management, almost like he was the teacher's pet.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Okay, so we've gone from that to the teacher's pet turning on the teachers, right? And we went from preseason last year, when that annual NFL players-only top 100, voted upon by the players, top 100 players, Russell came within a whisker of beating out Lamar for the top spot. Remember that?
Yeah.
So he's 1A of the best player in football. And then he got off to a pretty good start, but over the last 11 games last year, he wasn't very good.
Right.
Because he had the second most turnovers in the whole NFL in the last 11 games. They did hang in. They hung on. They won the division. They got a home playoff game, and what happened?
They got shellacked.
They got shellacked by a rival within the division, the Rams, who had to start John Wolford at quarterback because Jared Goff had screws put in his throwing thumb because it was fractured, right? Then Wolford's lost quickly, and they lost to Jared Goff with screws in his throwing thumb, right?
Correct.
And in that game, Russell Wilson, the final score is 30-20. Russell had a QBR of 17 on a scale of 0 to 100, which is horrible.
Right.
He was horrible, certainly by best quarterback in the league standards, right? So we went from Seattle fans saying, let Russ cook, to let Russ sulk, because I became more and more disappointed in him, and I have great respect for him and on and off the field respect for him. But what started to happen? It felt like he was classic Aaron Rodgers blame deflecting. It felt like he was pointing fingers to take the onus off him and put it on them.
Well, Russ understands that he has to play better, Skip. The way that he played down the stretch, and you mentioned it with the turnovers, is unacceptable. Like I said, a mobile quarterback a lot of times will run himself into sacks when he's thinking that he's running away from something on the front side. He falls into the trap on the backside, and Russ does a lot of that. Deshaun gets sacked a lot because he's mobile. They feel they can get out of harm's way. Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, guys that you think, oh, man, they can get out of harm's way. They run themselves into trouble sometimes also. Skip, I get that. You've turned this over to me. But in the process of doing that, you've also hampered me by not giving me offensive linemen that can protect me. Skip, I mean, those offensive linemen, the 30th, you spent no money. Yes, you giving me great wide receivers, Lockett and DK Metcalf and Moore. Yeah, they got great weapons on the outside.
Was DK Metcalf not the steal of the 2019 draft? He was near the bottom of the second round.
Yep.
Is that not the steal?
He's been great. For whatever reasons that running backs can't stay healthy,
No,
it seems like.
But it's not like they're not there. They just can't stay
healthy. But I feel, Russ, because at the end of the day, Skip, when this all thing is over, ain't nobody gonna look at nobody's gonna look at no linebackers. Ain't nobody looking at no DBs. Ain't no one looking at no running backs. This is gonna fall on Russell's. This is on Russell's plate. Russell, the quarterbacks get far too much of the credit. They get far too much of the blame. But you know when it's all said and done, this is gonna be Russ. Ain't nobody gonna mention nothing about no Legion of Boom. They gonna say, well, Russ didn't get it done. They gonna say, even though the Legion of Boom, you said it, they had that lead in the fourth quarter. But who takes the blame? Russ, he threw the ball. He threw what they couldn't understand, why, Pete, you even put him in that situation. And they said, Russ, a quarterback of your caliber, audible out of that. Run it. So they hold Pete and Russ equally responsible because they felt Russ had the cachet to audible out of that, and Pete should have never called a play with to begin with. But I understand Russ's frustration.
I think Darrell Bevel called it and Pete co-signed.
Right. Because it's a situation like the head coach can hear everything, both offensive and defensive calls. And you best believe, Skip, if they call something at Alabama and Coach Saban don't like it, you think they're going to run that play?
Nope.
So Pete Carroll...
Definitely when it comes to run or pass.
Yes.
Not specific play call, run or pass.
Right.
Because that's what Jimmy Johnson used to tell me. I do have final say, and I can tell Norv Turner, run it.
Run it, right.
You pick the run.
You pick the run. I ain't telling you what to run. You have to run 18 handoff strong or 19 handoff weak, but run the ball.
I agree. So when Pete Carroll heard pass, he was like, I'm good.
Right.
And when Russ heard pass in his headset, I think he was like, I got this. Right?
But the thing is, you got this. When you have an in-breaking route, Skip, and the guy is pressed in that area of the field, they got you dead to right.
Because you really think he's going to audible out of that call on the play of the game?
He should have audible the sprint option. That's what everybody else runs. Clemson won the national.
I'll give you that. You would have had a little better shot.
It's a touchdown.
Yeah.
Because he's pressed, because now he's going to try to quick jab you, and you're going to be able to get to the outside.
Okay, he did not make a poor throw.
No.
It was on the money. It was Ricardo Lockett, who's a bigger, stronger possession receiver.
But Skip, you're trying to run. You're trying to get leverage. Brandon Browder is 6'4". He's long.
Yep.
Once he press and stales you, there's no way. Because now you don't get the rub on the outside on Malcolm Butler. So what is Butler going to do? Drive.
Break.
He's taught, say, look here, if they run sluggo on you, that's us. But you better not let...
He did say they had practiced against that play that week.
Yes.
Because remember, he'd barely played all year. He's a rookie, undrafted out of West Alabama.
They put him in the game because, if I'm not mistaken, Kyle Arrington was getting killed. He was getting torched.
Yep.
And so Coach Belichick said, no. No. And to give Butler credit, because he got him a play, the guy bobbled it, caught it, got up and tried to run it, and Malcolm Butler tackled him before he got to the end zone.
Yep.
So give him credit, Skip. Things haven't been the same. Russell is saying, Pete, I need protection and I need input. The same thing that Tom Brady, remember Tom Brady felt? What did Tom Brady say one of the reasons Tom Brady wanted to leave? He felt that his voice was no longer being heard.
I don't think his voice was ever heard on personnel input.
No. Russ don't care, Skip. Russ don't care. He don't want to say, well, go get me this offensive lineman. I just need some offensive linemen. Can we not just get all undrafted free agents? Can we not get all 5th and 6th round picks?
They did go get that Dwayne
Brown.
He's pretty good. Maybe he's getting up there.
Yeah, he's getting on up there in age. But I get it with Russ. But you know what? Russ is starting to cause too much problem. Y'all should let him go, Seattle.
Yeah.
And let's see what you got.
Well, he did lose me when he went public with 4 teams he would like to be traded to if it came to that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's really...
Russ didn't say that. That was his representative speaking for Russ.
You know who's co-signed on that one, right?
Russ did.
Okay. Well, maybe Russ should look in the mirror before he looks upstairs at what's not being done.
The man, look here, Skip. The man has an entertainer wife, and she wants to work too.
Okay.
What is she going to do up in Seattle?
I don't know.
You know,
What's she gonna do
Vegas
in
has
Chicago?
Man, you central. You can get to a lot of places quicker in Chicago than you can in Seattle.
When you thaw out. Right.
Well, hold on. You got to have an umbrella every day up in Seattle.
Yep. Just a little while every day.
She trying to level up.
Yep.
So she trying to level up in Vegas or the Jets, Miami. Can you, Sierra in Miami?
That
Russ
works.
in Miami? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
Okay. So is that the Seahawks' problem? Is that their fault?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
That's their fault.
Yeah.
It's their fault. They won't
I'm
listen.
shocked it's gotten to this point.
I am too.
Yep.
I am too. Because I think that the biggest thing that's shocking to me, the little bit that I've been around Russ and his personality, it seems so far from this.
Agreed.
That's what's the most shocking thing to me, Skip, is that this seems like so off-brand for him.
Yeah, he was the model on-field
Company guy.
citizen company. Yeah,
He's the model. Hey, come on, guys. I mean, come on. You know how Pete is. Pete wants to. He was tired. If Seattle had a way, Russell Wilson was the Seahawk way.
Right. And it's not like they missed the playoffs last year.
Right.
They won the division.
Right.
And he's making this kind of a stink?
I ain't happy.
It's very
he's not
odd.
happy.
It feels like there's got to be more going on behind the scenes for him to be this outspoken about it in a lot of ways. It doesn't really fit his image normally.
Nope,
but
it does
I keep
not.
thinking sometimes you don't know how good you have it until it's gone. I mean, I wonder if he actually left, if he would be happier, because it seems like a pretty good situation out there. So we'll have to see.
No mercy.
Now that Jerry Jones has his quarterback signed long-term, the Cowboys can focus on a return to the success they achieved in the 90s when Dallas won 3 Super Bowls. Since then, though, things have taken a major turn in the past 20 years. 22 teams in the NFL have won more playoff games than the Cowboys. That would hurt. So, Shannon, what does this say about Jerry as the owner and operator of the Cowboys?
That he's a great salesman, but the Cowboys have been the most overrated franchise in the last 20 years. Skip, that's fact. I mean, they have 3 playoff wins in 20 years. They haven't won multiple playoff games in the same season since the 95 Super Bowl run.
Yep.
Now, they hold themselves to the standard of like the Steelers, the Patriots, and the Packers, but they're more like the Jags, the Bears, and the Raiders. The teams in the last 20 years that have the same amount of playoff wins as the Dallas Cowboys.
Yep.
But nobody thinks of the Cowboys as the Jags, as the Bears, as the Raiders. And that's because Jerry has done a great job of marketing them, selling them, telling you this is going to be our year. He'll sign a big name guy, and Stephen Jones and Jerry will get out there and says, this team has the talent. I see a lot of similarity between this and the 90 championship teams. And oh yeah, the delusional Cowboy fan takes this our year. Every year is the Cowboys year. And every year, guess what? I get to smoke me a cigar, one of those nice sticks, and celebrate. Because I already know what's going to happen. Same thing going to happen again to you guys this year, Skip. Jerry loves stars, but he hasn't built that roster out in its totality. And yes, you need stars, but it's the totality of the roster that's going to win you championships, Skip.
Yep.
So for me, to make a long story short and a short story long, the Cowboy mystique is built on what they've accomplished in the past. So you look at those 70s teams, and you look at those 90s teams. But if you look at the 2000s, the 2010s, and now here we are in 2020, there ain't no mystique there. They're trying to live off reputation. What have these Cowboys done? Absolutely nothing. Keep on looking at this. Did you know this? Over the last 20 years, 6 teams have more playoff wins than the Cowboys. And people at home, look at this. The Bills, The Washington football team, the Cleveland Browns, the Detroit Lions, Miami Dolphins, and the Cincinnati Bengals.
Wait, over the last 20 years?
Yeah.
Well, there are 22 teams that have more playoff wins.
But the Cowboys, they're the most popular team. They worth more than anybody else in the history of the world.
Time out. Stop there. This man achieved that despite that.
That's
right.
Yes, and that's my point. It's based on the mystique because Jerry has convinced the people by telling them this team, from what he sees, because he was around that team in the 90s, this team has as much Super Bowl talent as those teams that won the Super Bowl. And those delusional Cowboy fans, led by you, who has the megaphone, is like, yep, that's right, that's what I see. And guess what? Every year you come out here and you be disappointed like you will again this year.
Yep. Yet I was there in the 70s and I was there in the 90s.
I know.
So I do know what I'm talking about. I know what Super Bowl looks like and feels like and tastes like.
And that's what it feels like.
Well, here's the point. Jerry Jones is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame for one reason and one reason only. Because this is the most fascinating achievement to me in all of sports, that he continues to market and improve the value of the most valuable team in all the world,
Without winning.
With no wins. He can't back it up on the field where everybody needs to back it up except for Dallas.
Right.
So if we're talking about showmanship, if we're talking about master of ceremonies, if we're talking about
P.T. Barnum,
he is it. There's never been anybody like Jerry Jones. Super salesmanship. There's never been a man who could convince you that this year is our year, like Jerry Jones did.
Yes.
And yet he does have history to fall back upon because they do have a storied history.
Right.
So the point is, if we look at the totality of Jerry's ownership, it's 32 seasons.
Right.
They have made the playoffs 15 times and missed the playoffs 17 times.
Right.
Think about that.
Right.
Is that consistent winning? No.
No.
But does he consistently provide you with maybe the most, it's often pretty close, but the most entertainment on and off the field? And off the field is because of his press conferences.
Yes.
During the week, on his radio shows, or right after games, he is the gate attraction.
Yes.
It's Jerry's team and Jerry's world. That's why the stadium is called Jerry's World.
Yeah.
But if I have to rank him as the operator of the team, as the president/general manager of the football team, he is way overrated because he had only one run, and it was really only a 4-year run. 92, 3, 4, and 5. That's the gold. Those are the 4 golden years under Jerry Jones.
Yes.
In the postseason, in those 4 years, they went 10-1.
Right.
What did they have? When he bought the team in 1989, what fell right into his lap? The number one overall pick in the draft. It was Troy Aikman, and they hit because Troy Aikman joined you in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So is that a score? Yeah. You got it. Again.
And he had a Hall of Famer already on the roster because he got Mike in '88.
He had Michael Irvin. He inherited him.
Right.
He was coming off a knee injury, but he came back as Michael Irvin.
And then what he got in '90? Emmett.
He got Emmett. Okay? And so they had the draft picks to be able to score because of the Herschel Walker trade. And they missed on some of those picks, but they scored on a bunch of them.
You got Emmett, you got Russell Maryland, you got Darren Woodson. You did okay.
You did okay. So then it was Jerry. I got to give him credit for this. In that 4-year run, he went and stole via trade Charles Haley from the rival 49ers. You got to give him that one. Because that was the move that put them over the top in 92.
Jimmy
didn't want him because he looked like he was hard to coach.
He was.
Okay, Barry Switzer didn't have any problems with him, but that's Barry because he had such rapport and charisma and attachment to those players. But then ahead of the 95 season, the last Super Bowl season, Jerry went and basically outbid the 49ers for the guy they had who won the Super Bowl, your man, Deion. Deion Sanders.
Yes.
Jerry went, and if remember, we talked as we opened the show about anything special I've overpaid for. He overpaid at that moment for Deion Sanders, but he was the greatest cornerback ever. So it's hard to overpay for the greatest because he became the difference maker, going from San Francisco in a Super Bowl to Dallas the next year in a Super Bowl.
Because you wouldn't
He's
if they leave him in San Francisco, they're not going to the Super Bowl. They're not beating the 49ers.
Nope, I'm sorry. So what was the only loss in those 4 years? It was the NFC Championship game, the first year of Barry Switzer at Candlestick against the 49ers.
Right.
Emmett had a pulled hamstring and could barely go. He tried and was basically non-existent in that game. And they fell behind, I think it was 21-3. Yeah, Aikman threw an early pick six, and then here they came, and they stormed back, and they came within a bad call on Deion Sanders, a non-call on Deion, and yet Jerry went, and when he says, anything I've ever had this special, I overpaid for, well, that was a special move to acquire Deion Sanders. That gave them their last Super Bowl, and the third in those 4 years, right? But he had Jimmy, who was a very special coach, and he didn't overpay for him, but he fell apart with him, and he fired him after winning 2 Super Bowls.
What do you think if Jerry and Jimmy, they don't fall out? Jimmy stays, let's just say for the sake of argument, he stays another 4 years. How many Super Bowls do you think they would have won?
So they had just won back-to-back.
Correct.
So in the next 4 years, could they have won 3 more? Maybe.
They would have.
They were a dynasty in the making. They weren't there yet.
You have to understand the age in which they were. I don't even know if Troy was 26. Emmett was like 25. Mike was like 27.
Both Troy and Michael suffered serious injuries, concussion, and back that prematurely stopped their run. But without Jimmy, it wasn't quite the same. Okay?
Barry didn't put the fear. He didn't light the fire under the players like Jimmy did. They knew Jimmy came every day to practice to trim the fat. If you didn't perform, Jimmy was going to get you up out of there.
But Barry did get them home one time. It was hard, and they loved him. They loved him way more than they loved Jimmy, but that's how Jimmy motivated was via fear.
Correct.
Okay? So in the end, Jerry did contribute to this 4-year run. But remember, Troy, as a quarterback, lost his last 3 playoff games that he played. So they started to fade out, and then that was the end of that thing. Okay? So what's the difference? He had Troy Aikman, the #1 overall pick, and they hit on that pick. And then through the last 20 years, they've had an undrafted free agent named Tony Romo and a 4th-round quarterback named Dak Prescott. And they were both just good enough to kind of tease you and get you to the playoffs, and then couldn't really take you much farther. So, again, Romo won 2 playoff games. They had just beaten Donovan McNabb's Eagles in the final regular season game to get there. And then in the wild card game, it turned right around and came back to Jerry World, and they beat him again. So he beat Donovan McNabb a 2nd straight time. That was 1. And then they beat Detroit when they got a break on a bad call. Okay? So that's it. That's it for Tony Romo. Really? And again, Dez did catch it, but they did lose that game. And in the end, Jerry Jones in the postseason is 15-12. But that counts a 10-1 run for 4 years in the middle of the 90s. Really? So outside of that, he's 5-11. And he's missed the playoffs 17 times in 32 years. Well, you can't defend that.
No.
That's not Hall of Fame.
But like I said, Skip, he's P.T. Barnum. He can sell anything. And he's selling the Cowboys that, okay, this is the year. Because as you said, he has the mystique of the 90s and the 70s to back it up and say, see what we did. But if people would look closely enough, it's like, well, yeah, Jerry, but it's a long time since the 90s.
Okay.
You skipped over the 2000s, the 2010s, and we're in 2020 now.
So I often saw flashes of Tony Romo where I'd say, you know what? He's capable of winning a Super Bowl. He's going to have to stay hot. He was hot against McNabb, and then they went to Minnesota to play Brett Favre. You want to talk about getting the brakes beat off? It was a nightmare.
Skip, the thing is, you got to stay hot, but Tony Romo could not stay out of the big mistake.
I agree.
For any length of time.
Okay. Here comes Dak Prescott. Did he quote-unquote overpay? Yes, he did. And he made it clear to Dak's face, I overpaid for you. But I overpaid for special. Have I seen special from Dak Prescott? In spurts. In spurts, I have.
You need to see more consistency.
I need to see it, and then I would need to see a consistent playoff run of high-level quarterback.
Well, good luck with that. I hope you are not counting on it.
Okay. Well, so you agree, Jerry overpaid.
No, Jerry.
Yes.
No. That is, see, how do you get, because I say I don't believe you guys are going to win championship, that I say Dak or Jerry overpaid for Dak? Those are not mutually exclusive.
Well, Jerry always says, you don't know how big a check I would write to win another Super Bowl. Well, the problem is you can't write that check because you have a salary cap, right? So what does that mean? Right?
Yeah.
And when he says, I would do anything to win a Super Bowl, I don't buy it. I think the priority is entertainment.
Yes.
Does he not have a star-studded team with Dak and Zeke and Amari and D-Law? Yeah.
What if they came and say, Jerry, we give you we don't let you win the championship, but you can't do no media. You can't be on no front of no cameras. You can't be on the radio, and you can't be addressing the team. He take it?
You mean like a deal with the devil
Yeah.
for that? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
You don't even know. I mean,
I'm not sure.
We got a championship for you.
Yeah. But you can't talk?
Yes.
I think he might say no to that one.
Exactly.
I don't know.
I believe I can get it another way.
Final point. Going into last season, as I reminded you, the Dallas Cowboys over the previous 10 years, the previous decade, had the second most Pro Bowlers to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes.
And it had gotten them nothing. Okay? Well, is that on Jerry? It comes down to quarterback play.
Yeah.
You know, and I know, unless you got the Ravens 2000 defense, you better have a quarterback.
Better have a quarterback.
You better have number 7.
And you can't make mistakes.
Yeah.
We had one turnover in 4 games in the playoffs.
At Baltimore.
In Baltimore.
Okay?
You turn it over, and obviously we're challenged offensively, Skip. But if you turn it over, you're going to lose.
So Trent Dilfer, did he have one turn?
We had one. We had one turnover in 4 games.
If you have Ray Lewis's defense, that will work.
In one turnover,
okay,
you win it.
Right now, Dallas does not have Ray Lewis's defense. No. Thank you.
No mercy. The Athletic released their predictions of all 32 starting quarterbacks for Week 1, and one of the bigger surprises was in Houston. One writer thinks that not only will free agent Ryan Fitzpatrick be under center for the Texans, but they also outlined the thought that Deshaun Watson will sit out the entire year due to his frustrations with the team. So, Shannon, how will this play out?
Right now, the Texans are trying to stand pat. They're trying to hold to their guns, hold the fort down and says, look, we're not trading him. But I think as we get closer to the draft, because I think the draft is the deadline, Skip, because that's when you're going to be able to get maximum value for Dak Prescott. And I think, look, the going rate seems to be 3 first-round picks, 3 first-rounders. And if you have a quarterback, you're probably going to have to give that quarterback up also. Something similar, I believe, will happen with Russell Wilson, because I think they're very similar players. Skip, Houston's going to come to the realization that Deshaun Watson is not paying for this organization. Now, you can be stubborn and say, well, we're going to show you. But by him refusing his services to you and playing and not playing, what have you done? You don't have him. He doesn't want to be there. You've made your bed. You made the direction that you wanted to go in. You tried to backtrack because you said you was going to keep him abreast of things that were going on. And then when you got the word of the direction that you should have go, you said, nah, we're going to forego what you guys say and going to do it our own. And then you didn't relay that information to him. And so, and I said this, even though you brought an African-American in at head coach David Culley, that was going to have no bearing on whether or not Deshaun Watson came back to Houston.
You said that first.
I said it. And he loves David Culley. He coached him in the Pro Bowl. I said, okay, if you say so.
Reportedly, they did have a meeting.
They had a conversation.
Okay.
And he said,
I'm sure Deshaun likes him, but
Coach, Mr. Culley, whatever he called him.
No.
This is not the place for me.
Okay.
And so I believe the Houston Texans will come to the realization that Deshaun Watson no longer wants to play for us. And the best thing for us to do is to try to get maximum value for him. There are teams, I believe there are 2 teams, Skip, that has the firepower right now to go get him. The Jets, because they have 4 first-round draft picks in the next 2 years. The Miami Dolphins. And Houston, Texas, you can get your first-round pick back because the pick that they got early, that's yours. You gave that up for Larry Tunsil. And so that's your pick. You can get it back. And possibly, Skip, all the pieces that you've given up, the D. Hopkins and taking off Deshaun Watson, you can start to try to get some of that back. But I don't believe Deshaun Watson plays for this team, and I believe the Texans will inevitably come to their senses and trade him and get great value for him.
Okay. Before I answer Jenny's question, you just jogged my memory on something. David Culley once played quarterback at my school, Vanderbilt University, and I meant to inform you you need to start watching my basketball team because Scottie Pippen's son, Scottie Pippen Jr., he can play.
Yeah.
He is growing on me. I watched them win their first-round SEC tournament game. They're playing Florida today. Check him out because he's going to be a first-round pick. Vanderbilt, pro pipeline. I don't know where.
Man, they don't stop. Y'all got what we skip. Y'all, hold up. How many Vanderbilt players in the NBA?
6 or 8.
No.
One's playing for your Lakers right now.
Who?
What's his name? Dion Williams, right? Is that his name? Dion Williams?
No, we ain't got that guy.
Yeah, you do. You just signed him to another 10-day.
Oh, you talking about Damian Williams?
Damian. What am I saying, Dion? Yeah, Damian Williams. Yeah, he just signed another 10-day contract. Look at Darius Garland for the Cavaliers right now. Look at him. Look what he's doing.
Y'all got a good baseball team. Y'all got a good baseball team.
We got players from Damian Jones.
Damian
sorry,
Jones.
What am I saying? I call him the wrong name.
Yeah.
Once a first-round pick of the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
Once upon a time. Okay, back to the question. Deshaun Watson. I remind you, once upon a time, the late father of the current Houston Texans owner, Robert McNair, remember what he said?
Yeah.
Behind closed doors, but it got reported, I believe, via the New York Times. He said, we cannot let the inmates run the cliche is asylum, but he said prison. We cannot let the inmates run the prison. Am I right about that?
That's what he said.
That is the mentality of that family.
Correct.
That now continues to own and operate in the wake of the late Robert McNair.
Right.
The Houston Texans. So that's going to be the psyche of the front office. They've hired Nick Caserio, who was the right-hand man of Bill Belichick, and he will be in lockstep with that. We cannot let Deshaun just force his way out. Just a year ago, we gave him a mega contract, right?
And Skip, you remember Caserio at the press conference says the player. He didn't address, and then he's like, hold on, I said the player. See, that might have flown in New England where you say you don't call the player, you say the player.
Bill Parcells used to do that to Terrell Owens.
Terrell Owens, the player.
Yep.
And, Parcells had some less than favorable thing to say about Terry Glenn in the beginning.
Yep.
But, Sean's about, Skip, at some point in time, you look, the guy doesn't want to play with us. Let's get 3 first rounders. Skip, we can start to rebuild our franchise.
Okay. So the point is, I believe they will dig in and say, we cannot allow this for even the sake of the league. We can't allow a quarterback just to force his way out the way the NBA players just routinely have been pulling that off.
Right.
We've seen right and left, James Harden and Anthony Davis. Okay. So I believe my mother used to say, don't cut off your nose to spite your face. Well, I think that's about to happen in Houston because my gut feeling is that they will just make Deshaun sit. They will keep him on ice for the whole year if he wants to, but they'll say you can come back and play anytime you want, but you are under our contract right now, and he's got, 4 years left of that contract?
No, this is Skip. He got the 5th-year option, and then he got the 4 years.
Yeah. Okay. So he's theirs
for 5 years. They got it for 5 years.
That's what I'm saying.
Plus 2 franchise tags if need be.
Okay, if need be. So they know in their heart of hearts, they're smart enough, at least Caserio is smart enough as a football man, to know that I don't care what you get back for Deshaun, you don't have Deshaun.
Right.
I got him second best quarterback in football, although Brady's rising up the ranks now, and I don't know, just in pure value.
Skip, you can put him in top 5, but I don't know if he's the second best. You put him in front of Rodgers? Yeah, you put him in front. So I think you got Mahomes. We like Mahomes. You got Rodgers, Brady, Josh Allen.
I'm the biggest Deshaun fan, and the harder I looked at what he pulled off last year with very little around him, in such apathy in the locker room, it's just hard to overcome that. And every game he went out and just fought his guts out. And if you look at his numbers that he put up last year,
he was sensational.
With no D-Hop anymore, so they had a pretty good group.
Yeah, I mean, then he lost William Fuller the fifth, I think, for the last, 3 or 4 games.
Yep.
He got Brandon Cooks.
Yep.
But, Skip, I just believe that if I can get 3 first-rounders for a guy, because like you said, it's never going to be the same. It's not going to be the same.
Okay, it's not going to be the same for him, but if he leaves, it's not going to be the same for them. Because no matter who you bring, Jets, if they give you Sam Darnold, you're just kind of stuck with Sam Darnold. I'm not a big fan. I think you're going nowhere with Sam Darnold.
Well, if you take the pick, they got the second pick in the draft. Go get your quarterback. Get Justin Fields.
You sure?
Go get Zach Wilson.
Deshaun Watson.
No. You never. No. But that's the thing with
you're never going to recoup that.
No.
I don't care how many firsts you got. It's hard to find
especially
that
at that position. Now you lose other positions, Skip. You might can replace that because the Cowboys were just fine without Herschel Walker. They got Emmett, who became the all-time lead rusher. They got Russell Mallon. They got Darren Woodson. So they did just fine with that trade.
Okay,
but when you're talking about
a
a franchise quarterback.
He was the only gate attraction. And trust me, he was getting up there in running back years.
Yeah. He, at that point in time, Skip, he had turned into the tiptoe bandit. So he was not running with the same ferocity.
What did Jimmy say? the moment they pulled off the deal, he called it the great train robbery.
Yeah.
That's how little he thought of Herschel at that point.
Yeah. So franchise quarterback, Skip, they don't happen. They don't grow on trees. And so when you get one, Skip, you do everything you can to keep him, and you definitely don't try to tick him off.
Okay. So what if they just say, sorry, we're going forward with this?
Well, you already gave me $60 million. I got $60 million. I hold it out. You're going to say, well, you're going to have to pay it back. I will eventually, once you trade me.
At what point will Deshaun say, I just want to sit around anymore? It's hard to sit.
It is.
Yep.
But he's, like you said, he says, I value loyalty. He had a tweet. He tweeted it out. Say loyalty over everything. Don't ever forget that. Now, that's what Deshaun said.
So the Athletic said they think Ryan Fitzpatrick's going to be the Texans quarterback all next year.
Yeah, and he knows Houston. He was there before.
Yeah, and he's okay.
He's serviceable.
He'll give you a few moments.
He can be a bridge. Mm-hmm. You like Zach Wilson, or you like Trey Lance, or you like Mac Jones, whomever, Skip. He'll give you a bridge until those guys get up and
I think they're thinking he's a bridge back to Deshaun. Well, seriously, that's their mentality.
Nah, that bridge, nah. He's not crossing back over that bridge.
I'll bet he'll sit next year.
Yeah.
Wow. And what a loss that would be for all of us if that were the case. Things very messy in Houston. Just a few hours away, though. All smiles in Dallas. No mercy. Well, back to Dallas, where Dak's big payday has many people expecting a Super Bowl out of the quarterback in the next 4 years. But Prescott himself admitted that he's motivated to do exactly that for fans of America's team. Check it out.
As a competitor, you watch people celebrate and you watch people do what you want to do. There's not too many more things that lights a fire under you than somebody having what you want. And every year that we're not in the playoffs or we didn't make that run, that's just more fire to it. And you throw on there that I was holding my leg and didn't even have a chance to be out there while guys were doing what was taken away from me. I'm just excited to get out there and show you what this team is going to do. And the next big press conference we have is hopefully in another year after that big parade. So there you go.
That big parade, you can see how happy he is there. Shannon, right move or wrong move for Dak to be talking parade already?
My friend Skip Bayless says, why you got to talk about it? Just show us. Every time Goat James does something, just show us, LeBron. You don't have to talk about it.
Am I putting Dak in the LeBron category?
Let me ask you a question.
Same sentence?
No.
Okay.
So why wasn't this talk the first 5 years? So
Good
now
question.
now you feel that you make $40 million like the Super Bowl is a given. So what happened the previous 5 years? I didn't hear him mention anything about no parade.
Nope.
I ain't mention anything about no big celebration. I ain't hear him mention anything about people doing things that when people do things or doing something that you love and you can't do, he didn't mention that.
Nope.
He gets $40 million and now all of a sudden, Super Bowl.
Okay, so you're saying bad idea?
Well, I don't get the benefit of him saying it. What does he think because saying it? Oh, I get it, Skip. I get the new mantra now is speaking into existence. I guess he's adopted LeVar Ball's theory.
Maybe.
I'm going to speak this into existence. I'm going to say something enough and the universe will align and it will happen. Just go do it. All he did, he became a salesman just like Jerry and Steven. He just got the delusional fan base of the Dallas Cowboys even more. You heard what Dak said? Dak said we're going to have a parade. Because that's what Jerry and Steven been saying for the last 25 years. I ain't seen no parade. Have they had a parade in Dallas anytime soon? I mean, ain't no bowl games. They didn't have, well, maybe the Rose Bowl. They didn't have even though the Rose Bowl was in Dallas, they didn't have the parade. So there ain't been a parade in Dallas in 26 years, Skip. Did y'all have a parade back then? Did they have a parade?
There was that St. Patrick's Day parade. Zeke was watching from up on the rooftop, and that was a bad time.
That might be what he's talking about. They might have a St. Patty's Day parade. Oh, okay. That's what he means.
Yeah.
Skip, I just think you just look, expectations are going to be there. You didn't need to mention that, Dak.
Yeah.
I think the expectations are when you make the kind of money that Jerry paid you, we know what the expectations are. I could have done without it, But if he's feeling confident, that's, he's like, I'm feeling good. I want to get back out there and show. But, and when I look at it, Skip, okay, are the Cowboys better than Tampa, Green Bay, Rams, 49ers, Seattle if Russ stays? Are they better than the Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, Browns, Tennessee, and the AFC? So by all indication, they're what? 9th, 10th, 11th, maybe 12th best team? So all of a sudden, Dak got $40 million. He about to pole vault all these teams. Okay.
When a question was asked of Jerry and Steven, are you guys going to win the NFC East next year? Dak did jump right in and say, yes. So at least he guaranteed that.
Maybe it's really the NFC East.
Philly, Giants, Washington.
He really went out on a limb, Skip, baby.
Okay, but you got to give him that. Okay, back to the question at hand. Obviously, he had premeditated this because he had time to think about it. He had 24 good hours to think it through and decide, I am going to plunge. I'm going all the way to Super Bowl parade in this press conference. I'm going to put my new money where my mouth is. And he did it. And I must admit, I loved it.
But?
There's a big but.
I knew it was coming.
It took guts. It took some gumption. It sent a great message to the locker room. Yeah, I got paid, but I'm going to pay everybody back with the Super Bowl parade. And by the way, just to make this clear, he was talking about the next big press conference we have is hopefully in another year after this, talking about the big parade. So there you go. Those were his last 4 words.
Right.
There you go. There you go.
Now, you want a big press conference after the game.
Woo. Okay. The problem is he's going to have to take it up a whole nother level of consistent play.
Correct.
I like to think of myself as an objective Cowboy fan, a consistently objective, and I tell you when I think they're horrible, and I tell you when I think they're great. And he has been mixed on his display of his capabilities. He's been shaky, he's been great, he's been hit, he's been miss. And he hasn't been nearly consistent enough to be talking about a Super Bowl at this point.
Right. So in other words, you don't believe that the way they're currently constructed, they can win a Super Bowl. Do you believe the team that they have right now can win a Super Bowl?
Now, Jerry, it's your turn because you do have some new money to play with in free agency. Can you fix your defense? Can you and Will McClay fix it on the fly in the draft? You have the 10th overall pick, and then you got the picks down the line.
But you want him to go, if you want him to be a player in free agency.
Absolutely. I want 2 significant defensive free agents.
Skip,
you have enough wherewithal.
They ain't got no money like that.
Yes, they do.
Skip, they got 6 to 10 million. They don't got 69 million like the Jets and the Jags.
You know how many guys are redoing as we speak? There were 3 yesterday.
Right.
And there'll be 3 more today. Just watch. You're going to hear.
So how much you think?
Zeke redid.
So how much you think they're going to? How much you think they're going to have to play?
I don't
20
know.
mil?
I mean, that just boggles my mind. But just watch. It's one of those years when, because the cap has shrunk so far, COVID-racked cap, that what do we say it was? The
182.
182.5.
Right.
Okay, 182.5. It's so low. It's 15 million less than it was a year ago.
Right.
That it's going to force a number of the free agents to say, I better take a 1-year deal, waiting for that new TV deal to hit where I can hit the market again when it's a bull market a year from now. So I think you can go get some bargains out there, and their window is open to me because Dak only counts 22.2. If you can explain that, that's a magic trick to me. 22.2. He's making 75.
So what you want him to get, though?
But he counts 22.2.
What you want him to get?
You mean what position?
Yeah.
Well, you need a defensive tackle and a safety for sure.
Okay.
And you could use a veteran corner, a Malcolm Butler type corner, just to bring a little savvy and experience to that room because you're likely going to have, if you take Patrick Surtain with the 10th overall, you're likely going to have 2 very young Bama quarterbacks at cornerback.
Right.
And you got Anthony Brown at the slot corner, but still, you need another veteran presence out in the room to use on third any passing down. Okay, and you need another stud tackle, maybe Sue. I don't know how much money he's going to command, but maybe Sue would be a good plug there.
Oh, you want Sue on the Cowboys, huh?
Why not? I mean, he can still go. He can still play. He can still hold that line.
Yeah, he's better than the D tackle you guys got.
Okay, so the point is, I love it that he plunged with this because I felt like he said, okay, I won this negotiation. I took him to the bank. I took him to the cleaners. And now I'm going to pay Cowboy Nation back. We're going to go win a Super Bowl. And he's basically indicating that Super Bowl will be next year. I believe the window for that Super Bowl is open largest this coming year. Because if we go to year 2 of the Dak deal, what happens?
It jumps 11 million to
33. And then it jumps again to 44, and then it jumps again to 47.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a harder and harder time improving the rest of the team.
But the new TV, when it jumps to 44, Skip, the new TV money kicks in.
Okay.
So you're probably looking at $230 million. So it won't be.
I hope so. But still, 22.2 next year, you got a shot to have one of those big turnarounds where you go from nowhere to everywhere. You could be one of those teams, those worst to
But
first.
Skip, y'all not better than Tampa, Green Bay, right now.
I got firepower on offense. If Zeke is even 2/3 of the Zeke that we saw the first 3 years.
But you got no fire on defense.
Okay, but I got Trevon Diggs. Wait a second. I got DeMarcus Lawrence. Is he not a Pro Bowl player? Have we not seen Jalen Smith and Wolf Hunter make Pro Bowls?
You see what you did?
Have we?
You see what you did?
Is Alden Smith a former Pro Bowler who played sort of okay, but I've got Randy Gregory can make a Pro Bowl next year. The cupboard is not bare on defense. I got a new coordinator. Just on no Mike Nolan alone, I got a shot.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, you know that.
No, you don't.
After 5 games, I said, you got to get him out of here. They were mutinying.
You just told me over the last 10 years, nobody has had, only the Kansas City Chiefs have drafted more Pro Bowl players.
Correct.
So all that's on the coaches. So them underachieving is all coaches.
No, it's not all coaches. Okay. It takes elevated quarterback play.
Yeah.
Does he not have 3 really good receivers?
It takes elevated, consistent play.
Does he have 3 good receivers?
Yes.
Yes. Does he have 2 stud offensive linemen who are only 30 years of age?
What about your receiver? How do your receivers play when they're on the road?
Well, one of them disappears, although he was a little better last year. Amari was a little better. But they didn't have Blake Jarwin all year, right?
Schultz played well.
Schultz played very well. So you got 2 there. I thought Blake Bell played pretty well. So maybe you got 3 if you keep him.
So a Super Bowl or bust, huh?
Well, that's what he's saying.
What
How
are
can
you
I
saying?
not embrace that? He owned it. He got his money. He got $164 million for 4 years, right?
Yeah.
He owned it and said, "My God, I'm going to show you."
Well, y'all showchanged it for the past 5 years, so you should have paid back pay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So good. I love it. And then the final note here is, it gave me a quick RG3 flashback when he did acknowledge that I got to be a little smarter when I run with the ball. Well, you remember the fateful story when RG3's father, after he wrecked his knee, went to Mike Shanahan's office and said, "I'm sorry, coach. My son is now a pocket passer, period, end of story. He will run no more."
Peyton Manning and Tom Brady.
Yeah, he's Peyton Manning or Tom Brady, no more read options.
Right.
Well, it's talk about mystique.
Right.
That's part of Robert's mystique, because he can fly.
Because basically you just took the cape off Superman.
You did.
So what made him special was his leg.
That is correct. Well, Dak can run with the ball. He doesn't obviously have RG3's quickness or speed, but he can hurt you.
Yeah, but
because he weighs 240.
I think the thing what he means, Skip, is that he's going to have to be smarter. It's not always about trying to extend plays. Because sometimes, Skip, what got him in trouble, the guy was trying to tackle him, and what was he trying to do? He was trying to stiff arm and get away. Just go ahead and go down. You had already had,
It's the weirdest tackle.
Yeah.
It was like a front horse collar.
Yeah.
It's like from the front.
Yeah, he dropped all his weight down.
Pull him down,
Right.
and all of a sudden your ankle buckles.
Right.
Because he got shocked by it.
Right.
Okay? And he said, well, it was only first down. They're up 24-23 at that point. And he said, I didn't need to do it there. Well, occasionally, if the situation doesn't dictate sort of dying for the cause, just slide.
Thank you.
Because the game is rigged to protect you. Just go down. Take he'd already gained, 5 or 6 yards. Just slide.
That's what my position coach, Les Steckel, used to tell me all the time. He said, son, you got to know when the journey's over.
Okay, the journey is over. Okay? But what do I always bang the table over and say? Run him a little more, because he can hurt you, but he has to pick his spots to either run over you or slide.
But nobody does it as good as Russell Wilson.
No.
If you really the open field, Skip, you ain't getting no hit on Russell. Russell gonna slide. Kyler Murray's another one. It's hard for you to get it. You might catch him in the pocket.
He's a baseball player.
But and Russ has that same background.
RG3 never learned to slide. It was the damnedest thing I've ever seen. He could not figure out how to go feet first and give himself up.
Yeah. I was thinking like RG3 is too fast to slide, but hell, Deion Sanders could slide.
Yeah.
He faster than RG3, so it can be done.
Absolutely. Way to go, Dak. Now live up.
Okay, Super Bowl.
Yep. Oh,
Skip Bayless said Dallas Cowboys in the Super Bowl.
Skip's going to be bringing
Yeah, you did. Yes, you did.
Dak every
I don't know how he's
single
going to get
day
past
from
Brady.
here on out. I have a
Unfortunately, Brady's not in the AFC anymore.
What about Aaron Rodgers?
Huh?
Or the Rams?
Aaron who?
Or the Rams. You the Rams on y'all,
Is that
Skip.
what we've come to? That guy?
No mercy.
The 2021 Big East Tournament continues right after Undisputed at noon Eastern as Georgetown battles top-seeded Villanova. Then Seton Hall takes on St. John's, followed by Butler, Creighton, and DePaul, UConn, all right here on FS1 in the Fox Sports app. The college basketball is heating up, so download the Fox Super 6 app and enter the selection special contest for your shot at a $5,000 guaranteed prize this Sunday. All you need to do is answer 6 questions about the bracket reveal. It's completely free to play, so why not? Give it a try. All right, we're getting back to Undisputed right now, and this debate, former Warriors and Lakers guard Quinn Cook got Twitter buzzing yesterday when he tweeted, who wins in a game of 2-on-2 to 16? Kevin Durant and LeBron James versus Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Who wins and why? Y'all know who I'm rolling with. We're now joined by Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard. Chris, the internet obviously had a field day going back and forth on this, so I start with you here. Who would win?
Well, let me say this, Jim, first. Historically, I think Magic and Bird rank higher collectively.
Okay.
In my list, and I think a lot of people's list, I've got LeBron highest at second best player of all time. But KD is 14, 15 in that range, at least at this point. We'll see if he moves up. Magic, I've got fourth, and Bird is anywhere from 6 to 10, 6 to 11, somewhere in that range. So I've got Magic and Bird historically as the higher ranking duo. If it were 5-on-5 and you gave these two duos 3 similarly talented role players, I would lean toward picking Magic and Bird because I just think they made their teammates so much better. They both were incredible passers, both of them. So in a 5-on-5, I probably go with those two. But 2-on-2, I say LeBron and KD without any hesitation. and there's 2 major reasons. Defense and athleticism, which would be huge in a game of 2-on-2. LeBron was a great individual defender in his prime. KD is a good individual defender. Magic and Bird were good team defenders. They were smart, so they got a lot of steals and things like that. But neither one of them would be able to stay in front of LeBron and KD. And especially not LeBron. So LeBron would live at the rim. And KD, of course, you just can't stop him. We know that. On the other side, I'm not saying LeBron and KD could stop Magic and Bird, but they could make it tough on them. And that's all you do with great players. They would make it tougher on them to score than Bird and Magic would make it on LeBron and KD. Now, you might say, well, LeBron's not a great shooter. Again, he lived at the rim, number one. But Magic wasn't a great shooter either. He's better than most people give him credit for. But Magic shot a set shot for the most part. Jumping a little as he shoots it, but really a set shot. And so that would be tougher to get off in 2-on-2 because they wouldn't have to double off. They wouldn't have to double Bird to stop him, so he could stay home on Magic, and it'd be tougher for him to get the set shot off. And so, yeah, to me, in 2-on-2, the young boys would take him out.
I mean, you do. There's something, Chris, that people don't give it enough credit for. It's called evolution. And people get bigger, stronger, faster. Forget if you don't want to say athleticism, what about skill? The really good.
Yeah, what about skill? That's a good question.
Whoa, wait a minute. Are you saying Larry Bird
I am.
is more skilled than Kevin Durant?
Yep, I am.
Oh, my God. Chris Broussard, can you take his card? Can you take his journalism card? Because you ought to be ashamed of yourself, Skip Bayless, that you said that on national TV.
I got to be honest, Shannon, that's not blasphemous.
It's blasphemous.
I mean, shooting, I think Bird's a better shooter, but if you want to call that a wash, that's fine.
At worst case, it's a wash.
If I had to pick one.
I mean, you're talking about 7 foot that can shoot anywhere.
Bird is 6'10", 6'9".
But Bird wasn't getting to the rim. So you looking at the matchup, LeBron versus Magic. You feel that's where the young guns have their decided edge at?
The decided edge, yes. Yes, that's the decided edge. Just because LeBron's so athletic and strong. So some people say, well, let them play the old school way. They can get physical, which might impact Durant a little bit if you're going to let Bird really get physical with him. It's not going to impact LeBron. LeBron be the strongest guy out there. So, and Bird and Magic were the best passers. As great a passer as LeBron is, Magic's the best passer in the group. Bird is right there. I think Bird is as good a passer as LeBron.
But here's the thing. Though, Chris.
But he was as good a passer at least.
But Chris,
so that's why 5-on-5, I think they benefit. 2-on-2, they'd be in trouble.
Right, in a full court setting. Not in a half court. You neutralize what Magic was great at. His vision and his ability to get the ball ahead. But in a half court set, that's not it's not as important. Now I'm just gonna use my skill, my athleticism against your skill, your athleticism in a half court set. And because I have so much respect, Larry Bird was my favorite player growing up. So I have so much respect for him and Magic. So I'm gonna say, we're gonna play with him because it's gonna be made for TV, and we don't want it to be short, so we gotta make it to be like a 30-minute special. So we'll let him get to 8. But Skip talking crazy to me, we might make it 16-4.
Are you finished with your prisoner of the moment phony baloney? Are you finished?
I'm done.
First, allow me to say I am so disappointed in my friend Chris Broussard. I thought he would come with the wisdom of the ages and settle this debate on the right side, which is the Magic Bird side. I'm sorry. Both of you are being such prisoners of the current moment. I know you both like LeBron. Unfortunately, Shannon, Sharpe across from me, is over the top, fanatically, blindly in love with LeBron. Nope. So it's hard to fight back on that one. But on sheer killer will, I've never seen anything like Magic and Bird this side of Michael Jordan. And to Chris's point, I have Magic second on my all-time list. I have Larry 8th on my all-time list. I've got LeBron 9th, and I have yet to rank KD yet because KD hasn't qualified for a top 20 ranking just yet. He will at some point.
A top 20?
We have to see him finish it out and see what he can do.
Give me top 15 already.
Probably going to win one this year. We'll see how that goes.
He's top 15 right now as we sit here.
All right. So the point is, when we talk about assassin's mentality, when we talk about overwhelming intangibles, I'm talking about Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. And when we're talking about defense, I'm going to remind you, even this would work in 2-on-2. This would manifest itself. Magic Johnson led the whole league in steals twice. Larry Bird 4 times led the whole league, the whole NBA in defensive win shares. We know what Larry can do on offense. And listen, when Magic wants to score the basketball, he would just figure out how to score the basketball. Remember what he did for Kareem when he had to step in for him?
Yeah.
First year? What did he do?
42-15-7 against Philly. Game 6. I remember.
That's what he would do.
But that was on Caldwell Jones and Darryl Dawkins. That ain't Goat James.
I'm sorry. Goat James is not stronger than Magic Johnson in his prime. You want to talk about natural strength? Lord have mercy. I saw him. I told Shannon this story earlier. I was there at courtside, 1988 Western Conference Finals, 4th quarter, tie game going to the 4th between this is at the Fabulous Forum, the Lakers of Magic Johnson versus the Mavericks of Mark Aguirre. And Roy Tarpley, a 7-foot monster, was killing the Lakers and keeping Dallas in the game. And Magic said, "No, Kareem, I got him." And he took Roy Tarpley out of the game. Roy Tarpley was a big old handful, and he would take LeBron out of this game.
Kind of like what we did to Tim Duncan?
Yeah.
When he said, "I got Tim Duncan," or "I got Bam out of Bio."
Yeah.
Is that what he did? He did something like that, Chris?
Well, you got Bam after he got hurt, right?
What about Tim Duncan? Was Tim Duncan hurt when we took him?
I don't remember you
I
taking
remember we
Tim
took
Duncan.
Tim. We went to that lineup, and LeBron played the 5.
And
we
by the
guarded
way,
1 through 5, Skip. You know that.
I do need to know what the rules are in this game, because if there's any foul shooting going on, and usually there's not, but if there's any foul shooting, I got 2 of the greatest ever, and you got a liability at the the late game free throw line named LeBron James. And what do I call LBJ? No J, because he doesn't have much of a consistent jump shot. In this game, against the mystique of Magic Bird, LeBron would be choking his brains out.
That turnaround jumper.
Hold on, here, Skip. Like I said, I'm with you on a 5-on-5. But 2-on-2, there's no way. And you, like I said, Magic didn't have a jumper. So how's he? And LeBron's getting.
You don't think Magic could get to the rim on LeBron?
Here's the thing,
yes, he could.
Look, Magic could score. Like you said, he could score better than people gave him credit for, because he didn't really have to score a lot. But he could score when he had to. But here's the thing, Skip, and I say this all the time. Today's players, and obviously that includes LeBron and KD, are under more scrutiny than yesteryear's players. So we only remember Magic and Bird's glory moments. And same thing for Michael Jordan. But if they were living today, do you know we would have the same critiques of them, and maybe even harsher than we have of LeBron and KD? Larry Bird's first finals, you know this, Skip, 1981. He has back-to-back 3-for-11 shooting games.
8 points.
8 points back-to-back. The next game, after those two, he goes 5 for 16 with 12 points. If LeBron or KD did that, we would be roasting them. You know this, Skip. Same thing for Magic. You remember 1984. Tragic Johnson dribbling out the clock, throwing away the bad passes as the greatest point guard ever. So my point is, just like we can point out, well, LeBron struggled against Dallas, or KD, gave up a 3-1 lead to Golden State. We can go to moments like that for Bird and Magic too. So I would give those two, if you're talking mental toughness, a slight edge, but it's slight. It's not like it's dominant for those two, because they have all had their moments of struggling, and they've all had their great moments on the big stage too.
Okay, I know I'm coming across as grumpy old man. I can recollect the time, but I do remember the time. I was there, Chris. You were there for some of it, I think, but I was there for all of it. I was around Magic and around Bird, and I'm talking about powerhouse personalities that took over basketball games the way I don't see LeBron be able to. KD is mentally tougher than LeBron is, but I don't think he's mentally tougher than the other two that they would have to face. They would get overwhelmed just on trash talk, Killer Will. Do you realize Larry Bird is the greatest trash talker ever?
Hey, Chris, if you don't mind me asking, let's just say for the sake of argument, LeBron got an opportunity to play with Kareem for 8 years. Does he have one title? He have 2 titles? If KD got an opportunity to play with Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Dennis Johnson, Tiny Archibald, Bill Walton coming off the bench, Cornbread Maxwell, do I need to go on? I don't like to do this, Skip.
Would it be as great as it was? No, it would not.
James Worth is in the Hall of Fame. Jamal Wilkes is in the Hall of Fame. Bob McAdoo's in the Hall of Fame. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's in the Hall of Fame.
Heck, I think Chris Broussard's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but don't do that,
Everybody's
Skip.
in the Hall of Fame.
Don't do that to LeBron. The GOAT. He GOAT for a reason.
Stop it with the GOAT. Even Chris knows LeBron's not the GOAT.
And who gonna stop that turnaround jumper when he hit that head like a dream shake?
With this kind of pressure, nobody. Just don't even guard him. Just let him shoot it. Magic could be saying, just shoot it.
Layup line. We got a layup line to the basket with no GOAT James.
All right, I really enjoy hearing you guys debate that one and argue it. Chris, thank you for weighing in. It definitely helps the conversation. No mercy. Alex Smith made headlines last month when he told GQ that his return from injury last year, quote, definitely threw a wrench in the team's plan, and that Washington, quote, didn't want me there. Smith won Comeback Player of the Year, but Washington released the veteran QB anyway. Ron Rivera addressed the issue yesterday, admitting, quote, I don't disagree with a lot of things that he said. I was scared to death. It was always in the back of my head that what if he gets hurt again? I'm going to be the guy that put him back on the field and let him get hurt again. So, Shannon, are you buying his explanation?
Absolutely. Skip, we came out here and said, I said, Skip, every time he drops back the pass, I hold my breath.
Yep.
So imagine what the guy that's there, and he would. They was like, I can't believe Ron Rivera. If something would have happened to Alex Smith, people going to say, I cannot believe Ron Rivera put him back in the game knowing the injury that he had suffered. Alex Smith, while Alex Smith is talking, the Washington football team kept him on salary, allowed him to train at the facility, but he forgot that. If they didn't want you there...
When he was saying they didn't want me.
Skip, they paid him $20+ million to rehab.
Yep. You're talking about the GQ course.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Did he forget that?
Apparently.
Apparently he did. That the year and a half that he was away from the game of football, they still paid him. He still collected checks. Yes, they feared for his safety. And Ron Rivera was well within his right, because a lot of times coaches look at these players as my son. Man, if something happened to this kid, man, damn, that's on my head. It just also goes to show you that even though Ron Rivera was so fearful to put this man in the game, it shows you how even little trust he had in Dwayne Haskins. That even though he was that afraid, he says, this guy can't play at all. And I'm with it. Skip, you saw the big old bandage the man had on his leg. He going out there with that. So I'm lockstep and barrel. They can criticize Ron Rivera all they want to, but I'm with him step for step on this one. I was fearful, and I came out here and said it every time. I hold my breath when he drops back to pass the ball.
Okay. For the record, quickly, I did tell you no on Dwayne Haskins before he was drafted.
Yeah.
Okay, back to Ron Rivera. By all accounts, everybody I've ever talked to about him, he's a good man with a good heart.
Yes.
Alex Smith is also a good man with a huge heart. And what he pulled off was a miraculous comeback that took all-time perseverance and willpower to fight through that. He almost lost his leg, honestly. To come all the way back was, it took a minor miracle, if not a major one, right? So now it comes down to Ron Rivera, and he said, he read everything in the GQ story, and he said, I'm going to co-sign all of that. That's true. They did not want him out there, but then the point becomes, you didn't want him out there because of what? Well, for two reasons you didn't want him out there. One, you don't want to be the guy who's responsible.
Yes.
But number two, I think they thought there's no way you can come all the way back from that to be a high caliber quarterback. And he was never a great quarterback. He was a good one.
He was a very good quarterback.
Right? But there was a reason that Andy Reid said, no, I got to go get that kid at Texas Tech. I got to trade up for him.
Right.
And the rest is Super Bowl history.
Every place he's been, he's gotten replaced.
Okay.
Colin Kaepernick replaced him at the 49ers. Patrick Mahomes.
So what's the harsh truth about what Alex Smith did on the football field when he played for Washington last year? He had 6 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. His overall QBR was 35.
Right.
And, you know, on a scale of 0 to 100, that's
terrible.
It's terrible.
Yes.
Okay, so he was basically terrible.
Yeah.
So Ron Rivera is not in the business of helping Alex Smith win Comeback Player of the Year, because it doesn't help him win playoff games.
Right, Skip. The NFL is not the sympathy business.
No,
this is so great, so let's just put him out there because he's overcome all this.
Right.
That's not how it works.
No.
Pro football is about winning and losing. Skip, and guess what happens? Alex Smith gets hurt. Everybody gonna say, Ron Rivera, why would you put that man in there knowing what he had gone through? But the player wanted to play. Well, you're supposed to protect the player from himself. Nobody looks at it like that. But Alex Smith is pretending like, Skip, he threw 15 touchdowns with 2 interceptions, that he was just lighting it up. Alex, you were not very good. It was a great story that you came back. But let's be all the way 100.
Yeah.
We got to stop this notion. Because he came back and overcame something, he played well. The story was that he overcame that to play at all. Not that he overcame that and played well. No, I'm not going to let you do that, Alex Smith, with this GQ article. And Ron Rivera was well within his right because he didn't want that on his resume.
Yeah.
He put the guy out there that really, it would have really ended his career.
Okay.
But we're going to find out how many teams line up to sign Alex Smith moving forward.
I thought of that last night because I'm not sure about that one.
So we're going to see.
Yeah, we're going to see. The best point you made, maybe the best point you've made in weeks on this show, was he got paid. He actually got paid.
Scott played him $20+ million to rehab.
Way to go.
And you gonna talk about they didn't want Alex, if they didn't want you around, they would have cut you. Normally when you see what they did, the Kansas City Chiefs. They just cut Eric Fisher, who's coming off Achilles injury. They cut Mitchell Schwartz, who came off back surgery. Ooh. That's when you know they don't want you around, Alex.
No mercy. All right, listen up. Ray Allen was trending last night over a debate that seems to split the NBA world in half. Let's talk about it. Game 6 of the 2013 finals with Skip Spurs on the doorstep of bringing him another championship. Ray Allen followed a LeBron miss in the closing seconds with one of the most clutch threes of all time for the Heat to send the game to overtime, where they would eventually win it and go on to win Game 7, sparking a never-ending debate between the pro-LeBron crowd and the anti-LeBron crowd. Shannon, did they win Game 6 because of LeBron or in spite of him here?
They won because of LeBron.
Wow.
That's still the greatest shot. That's still the greatest shot.
Greatest clutch shot in the history of sports.
Every time you see it.
Every time I see it, Skip.
Hey, it was clean as it could be. It was nothing but net.
I'm going to try to break this down for you again, Skip. You know this. The Heat were down by 10 going into the fourth quarter. They're down 10. LeBron James scores 16 points. He has 2 assists, which are threes. So 22 of the 30 points that the Heat scored, LeBron had his hand in the pot. The Lakers only took 17 shots. LeBron took 11 of them. The Heat, I keep saying Lakers.
It's okay.
The Heat took 17 shots.
Yep.
LeBron took 11 of them.
Yep.
Because a lot of times Skip said he shies away from the moment. He made 7 of those 11 shots. Nobody else scored more than 5 points in the fourth quarter. LeBron had 16 of the 30 scored, but he assisted another 2. So 22 of the 30 LeBron had. If LeBron does not do what he does, Ray Allen's shot is moot. So for me to say LeBron, they won in spite of LeBron, is not true. And his finals numbers in that game, 32, 10, and 11. And then he followed it up with 32, 37, 12 in Game 7. Over the last 4 games, he averaged 32, 10, and 7. How can you say they won that game in spite of him, not because of him?
Because I say what I always say to you when it comes to your man, LeBron James. What did he do in the final 3 minutes of the basketball game? Because he usually unravels. And this was all-time unravel, where he was on the line to be the lowercase GOAT of this game, as in the reason they lost this game, because it started with 3:17 remaining. They're up 3, and he has an unforced error turnover that even made me sit back and say, what are you doing? Then we go down to the 39-second mark. Another unforced error turnover by LeBron James. They were down 2 at that point, and I think, thank you, we got this. Turned right around at the 28-second mark and turned it over again. Here, Spurs, it's yours. They were down 4 at that point, and I thought, that's ball game. And
what
then
happened?
At the 23-second mark, LeBron misses a 3, and Danny Green never got out of Pop's doghouse over this. He takes off trying to cherry pick a wide open layup to end the game.
Yeah.
And guess who got the rebound? Mike Miller got the rebound. And guess who's still standing at the 3-point line?
What'd he do?
It's LeBron, unguarded, because Danny Green's gone.
Can we see that?
Danny Green's gone.
You want to see it?
Well, I don't think we have it, dude.
Oh, we got it. We ain't got it. Jim, we got.
Oh, maybe we don't have it.
So we ain't got.
Didn't even happen.
So we ain't got LeBron making a 3.
Okay, so he did make a 3.
Okay.
And what did that do? That got them back to a 3-point game.
Right.
And then we did have the fateful moment with 19 seconds left. This kid, he was like 17 years old, named Kawhi Leonard.
Oh!
He steps up to the free throw line.
Oh,
Here
look
he
at
is.
this. Wait a minute.
And it's wide right lip out.
Whoa.
Lip out.
Knees shaking. You see, I can see that. Hey, people don't adjust your TVs. That's Kawhi's knees shaking, and the camera's kind of grainy. It can't focus. The knee wobble.
And with 19 seconds left, if he makes the first, and he did make the second, but if he makes both, that puts them up 4 points. Would that not have gotten them home for their championship? Yes.
GOAT would have brought it home.
GOAT would have brought it home. So then we come down to the classic moment in which GOAT has a chance to tie the game, and as usual, he bricks another shot. If we can see this, long rebound, Bosch snatches it away from Manu, kicks it sweetly to the corner, and the greatest clutch shot in the history of sports happens.
Bang!
That was the single most painful moment in my sports watching life. That was it. I never recovered from that moment. And by the way, Coach Popovich, Tim Duncan is on the bench because he wants defenders who can guard the three-point line at that point, but nobody was there to get the offensive rebound or defensive rebound, as it were.
What is the difference between this and what Malcolm Butler did for Tom Brady in the Super Bowl?
Well, again, that's all in spite of everything LeBron did, because he is coming apart down the stretch with 3 turnovers, a missed 3, and then another missed 3 at the buzzer.
So we're going to disregard the 16 points that he scored.
I'll give you that, but then you're in control. It starts with 3:17 left. You're up 3, and he turns it over.
Skip, no.
He's trying to gift it back.
Hold on. But they were down by 10.
Okay, but all I care about is at the end of the game, if Ray Allen,
we tied at the end of the game.
If he lips that shot out, you got a big L on your resume.
Skip, if Malcolm Butler doesn't catch that ball, Tom Brady has another Super Bowl loss on his resume. Right, but he didn't.
That's not, we're talking about Ray Allen making the play of plays.
Skip, it was a great shot. But I'm trying to figure out, why is it that when LeBron has a teammate that does what he's supposed to do, they saving his legacy, but everybody else.
Way to go, Ray.
As much as I enjoy this, that's all the time we have. Every time we talk about it, that's all the time we have for right now. No mercy. Tom Brady, well, he released a TikTok video yesterday where he made a smoothie and demonstrated that he doesn't eat the ends of his bananas. Brady brushed it off as a joke, but the internet you couldn't let it go. I personally still haven't let it go. Shannon, on a scale of 1 to 10, how weird is this?
Well, I mean, it's probably a superstitious thing, Skip. Maybe the little tips, but not that big of a piece of the ends of the banana. I don't really see any non-nutritional value.
No.
Maybe Guerrero told him he shouldn't eat the ends, but if it's working for him, continue to do it, Tom.
This is zero weird, because you should know this. When a banana over-ripens, the ends start turning to sugar. So you need to tear the ends off, or you don't want that sugar in you. It's why you shouldn't eat
banana
dried fruit.
is sugar then in of itself.
No.
Bananas are high in sugar.
If you let it all go overripe and start to spoil, it's all sugar.
That banana wasn't overripe. Just a little pinch the little end off it.
Well, it's turning to sugar. He doesn't want that sugar in his body. It's very simple. You should know that.
Why the banana?
You learn something from Tom Brady. You learn something every day on this show.
First of all, fruit is high in sugar.
Really
fruit has a lot of fructose in it. Since you want to talk about sugar,
I don't eat fruit.
It was all about
you should start so you can start looking like me.
My mind is blown. That is it for Undisputed. We're back same time tomorrow. Georgetown, Villanova, Big East tournament is next.